Welcome to Inspire My Big Sis, Auntie. Everybody loves you, Gifty Anti. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Abba.
It's weird actually, like being on this side.
I know.
Yeah, for you. Obviously, you're used to interviewing people,
Great.
being the anchor.
Yeah.
So thanks for giving me the pleasure to. I want to interrogate you, but thanks for being here today.
It's an honor to be here.
So your career has been phenomenal. You're definitely a household name in Ghana. Most people know you, and I do think it's because of GTV. Back in the day, when at least you got on television, there was one. Was it just one TV station?
It was one TV. When we started, it was just one TV. It was GTV.
GTV, Ghana Television. GTV. Everybody knows. So GBC then.
Yes, Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, and then the TV side, GTV, Ghana Television. Yeah.
So at that time, when news would come on, doom, 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 everybody would be around.
Yeah.
I certainly remember watching you on TV. What was those times like to be a newsreader on the one TV station in Ghana where everybody watched and everybody would know you?
Tell you what, my dad enjoyed it more than I did. He was having the proud moments more than, but it was very exciting everywhere when people would recognize you. But it was a lot of pressure too. Because I remember those days, after the news, you have to sit by the phone for at least 15 minutes. If no call comes in, then you're free to go. Because we had retired broadcasters who will call to tell you didn't pronounce this word right, you didn't pronounce this, whether it's English or in our local dialect. They will call to correct you or to commend you. So you just sit and wait. Because everybody had a stake in it.
Wow.
And then you were put on a certain pedestal to live up to a certain expectation. There were rules and regulations. This must not be done. But somehow, some of us were rebels from the womb. So we're breaking the rules, and you get suspended for wearing beads. And as you can tell, I love big beads.
Yes.
And your kaba style is a bit too stylish. But somehow along the line, I think I found my level and I operated within it. So it was it was challenging and it was very fulfilling as well. There was nothing I wouldn't do. I pride myself to be one of the journalists who have traveled the length and breadth of this country. There are villages I've been to that people who come from the region don't even know exist.
Wow.
So it was exciting. It was very exciting, yeah.
Journalism, for me, has obviously changed in this modern time. Like right now, there's lots of bloggers. Somebody starts writing, I'm a journalist, without any training. Right. And it is the times we live in now. Yeah. When you initially started your career, what was the terrain like at those times? You've mentioned about the fact that because you're a national broadcaster, having to wait for people to dissect, pronunciation and so forth. Yeah. And I feel like that's actually good. It's almost, it checks you,
yes.
It makes you better. When you first started, what was it like? What was the journalism scope like? Was there even that much women?
No. And it was very conservative. Very conservative in the sense that it was like a touch and go. It was, I call it a he said, she said kind of journalism. So it was fact to you. You're not allowed an opinion. You just come and report what you heard. You're not allowed to analyze it. And let's say put in your view or opinion. There weren't many women. The women who were there were, let's say, pushed to I wouldn't say put to, but they were more pushed to do the soft stories, entertainment, health, social issues. So when it comes to the politics, the economics, the agriculture, the engineering aspect of it, no. So you look at the health, entertainment, there's a lot of women. Health, there's a lot of women, but parliamentary reporting and mostly men, presidential reporters, all men. So it was a bit tough. I remember I started with a breakfast show then. It was, of course, it was the only TV station. So the first TV morning show in Ghana. And I was put on the newspaper review, which was highly political, very political.
I mean, even to this day, newspaper reviews are very political.
And it was something else. It was something else. Every day, people were attacking you, the threats, the name calling, because I mean, they hadn't seen it before. A young girl, you come and you sit in reviewing papers, now I tell people that, and they can't believe it, I've had people, and the now president, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, which I even wrote about in my book, as a panelist for newspaper review, Dr. Ekosfield Gabra. I've had former President John Mahama, all as panelists for newspaper review. Even before President Kufuor became a president, I had him on the breakfast show. So I had to deal, and look at me. Then it was 97, so 27 years. And out of nowhere, that this girl is on TV and doing this. So the attacks were coming, the rumors and the name calling, and the how do you call it? The attempt to manipulate you. That's the word, manipulate you. You know, and I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about the book, and you know, my letters were I wrote a nugget about ed conscience, where I caution young journalists that you have to be careful, because I fell victim to that, where people will intentionally tell me certain stories or give me a certain angle, and these are people I looked up to professionally, thinking that, oh, they know what they're talking about. But once you get on set and they sweat and you look so stupid.
Whoa.
Yes, they look stupid. A clear example I gave in my book about when VAT started introducing the VAT. And this politician came and he actually virtually schooled me on what VAT was all about. The good, the bad. I mean, so I thought I was empowered. And I was that kind of person. When you're talking, wherever I go, whether sports or I will listen and educate myself. So we went on set, and I thought, and then this man said, no, it's a very bad policy. It's going to kill. And then I was lost. I mean, all my questions.
On air. Was it live?
Live. It was live. And I mean, how are you going to say, but you just told me, you can't do that. That'll be because you told you off camera.
Do you know what's so interesting about this? Is the fact that I don't think it's as common for men,
right,
and maybe some women, to try to dress down or to make a host look unprofessional or look unprepared. Because this is obviously a particular situation. You're talking about someone has given you information, gone on air, and they've just switched.
Yes.
And sometimes I hate to kind of talk about this, but there is a truth in it. As a woman, I feel like now there's a lot of women in front of the camera. There's a lot of women in broadcasting, a lot of women. So it's not so much a big deal then, but especially, in the 90s or maybe in the 80s, being one of the only women, and when you've got a situation like that, how do you handle it? How do you even turn to camera and be like, how do you even get through that?
I really don't remember how it turned out, but I just remember how stupid I felt. And you could tell that it was a deliberate and
attempt to almost sabotage your intelligence.
And it still happens now. You get people on set, and then they try to demean you, make you look stupid, make you feel like you don't know what you're talking about. And if you're not careful, if you're not strong, you start doubting yourself. So I don't really remember how bad. I mean, we carried on there, and I'm sure. No, I do remember after that he wasn't my friend for a very long time. He tried to apologize, but I ignored it because I was young and that was my first, and so it really hurt me, and I felt so set up and so used, and I wasn't looking for any information to make me look. I just wanted education on it. That's all I wanted. And then he let this happen to me, but it's just something that consistently it happened to me professionally. Even sometimes with senior colleagues coming on, and these are people you've had conversation with, outside the office or whatever it is, and some of the things they talk about, but then you come on and when you try to challenge the views you're putting across, then they make you feel, kind of stupid, or you are pushing an agenda. Or I mean, there was one that was so blatant, but I cried for him on air. You know, after that, a lot of people are putting, why did he do that? Said, oh, but you know, she was trying to challenge me. And
do you think it has, you know, something to do with the fact that being female and being young?
Exactly.
Because it's something that, you know, I do think it still exists today. Maybe not as much because people like you has, you know, made it easier for the ones, you know, on TV right now. But especially deliberate attempts to demean women.
Yes.
How prevalent was it back then?
It was highly prevalent. Highly. And you'd have, I mean, let me give you another example. You know, at a point when I became empowered, when I realized what was happening, I tried to get more women to come on the show. So I got people like Professor Audrey Gajepo, Nanaya Oforiata, now Minister for Communication, Honorable Eslo Usu, to come on. I remember it was on Wednesdays. I had former Minister for Information, Zita, Okaikwe,
yes.
and you know, other people. There was another one. Some of them were in Angela Dramna Boache to come. It was on Wednesday. I thought that Wednesdays are dedicated for strictly women, and even they were being. Of course, there was now Professor Margaret Amuakon at the University of Ghana, and even they were being attacked. At night, they will have cars following them. They also were getting threats. They were being called, you know, names. It was so bad. I'm talking about 97, 98, 99. It wasn't an easy time for women at all.
Do you know it's so interesting, especially when they will say forefathers. I'll say our foremothers.
Yeah, foremothers.
Foremothers have made, you know, the fact that getting like threats to the point of being followed. I can't imagine that. I've been, you know, in TV for 20 years, over 20 years. And I started in the 90s. My situation was different. I started in the UK. But I can't imagine those kind of threats. And to still be doing what you're doing. Yeah. You've been in broadcasting now, over 30?
Close to 25 years.
Okay,
25 years.
20.
Officially, I started 95.
95.
It's
so interesting. I started in 97.
Oh, okay.
But I started as a teenager. I was a teenager. And trust me, it was kids TV. It wasn't going up against or sitting next to politicians. Right. It was a whole different ballgame. In a different country.
So 95, I started with radio, and then I did a bit of acting as well, TV theater at GBC. And then when I was doing my internship, and then in 97, I started the TV presentation.
The TV officially. So you've been in media for what 30, about 30 years old?
Yeah, about 25 years. Yeah, 95 to now. 25. Oh, is it?
No, so 95
to...
Now we can't do math.
We can't do, can you believe it? Okay, 95 to 2005 is 10 years.
Yes.
2005 to 2015 is 20 years.
We're in 2020.
25 years, yeah.
25 years.
Yeah.
Okay, thereabouts. Okay. No, so at least, anyway, let's shift away from that. At least in terms of, you know, laying the foundation, paying the dues, not even just for the females, but for the male.
Right.
Male journalists. I think everybody has looked up to you. Everybody knows who you are. And in the position where you sit, when you sit back and you assess your career you've had so far, you know, how do you look back at it? Is it fond memories? Is it like, oh my God, or maybe I should have done something else?
Yeah.
How do you look back?
I mean, fond memories, and I feel fulfilled. You know, I tell people that I don't miss a lot of things because I did everything. I worked hard and I sacrificed. You know, I remember one day going to work. We're told we were going to Libya for 2 days. I ended up staying in Libya for 1 month.
Whoa.
Yes. Sometimes you come to work and they said you have to go to Kumasi or Upper East to go and report. You know, you're going and maybe the following day you end up staying for 2 weeks. I did everything. Reporting from, I tell people that my first stand up as a reporter, like the piece to camera, was by a huge rubbish dump. You know, to being a presidential correspondent who traveled, you know, the world. to bring stories to Ghanaians and to report with it, to being, a ceremonial commentator on TV, I've done it all. So I don't miss it anymore. I just sit back and I watch young people coming up. Say, okay, where I reach out to people, those who want to be helped or want to guide them. I admit that things have changed as well.
Yeah.
Things have changed, and you can't compare what we did then to now, because the audience have changed. So you just need to accept things as they are. But of course, there are standards that needs to be kept. But I enjoyed the ride. I really enjoyed the ride, and I left it. So I don't look back with regrets at all. No regrets at all.
What made you start the Standpoint?
Anger. Anger. I was just angry about the way women were being treated, and women were being talked about just because they are in the media, just because they have a voice. And unfortunately for me, I went to do my master's in London City University, and I met this woman who was a feminist, strong feminist. She was my journalism lecturer, Christabel Kane. And after, she wanted me to stay on to be a TA to her. And I said, no, I had to come back to Ghana. I said, Gifty, okay, you're going to promise me one thing, that when you go back to Ghana, you're going to do something to help and change the narrative of the Ghanaian woman, of the African woman. So I said, okay, I'll do that. So I came back to the newsroom, and then I was working on the people, and it was tough. The ideas that I had, I couldn't implement them. You are always being told why you can't do women's stories. And, there's this perception about women's NGOs and activists, sitting in big cars and, taking all the money they are not doing, So I just decided one day that, listen, I'm going to have a show. And I'm going to have all women talk about the so-called, tough story, the politics, the engineering, the finance, that aspect. That was the idea. So the first 2 episodes of The Standpoint, we talked about women and politics. And then that time, it was, that was 2008. And Nana Danko Akufo-Addo, now president, was going to run for president, and people were recommending Haji Halima Mahama, now minister for, I think, local government. And people were saying that she wasn't married. And so, she can't be. And so I had her on 2 episodes, to talk about the capabilities of women, the irony of it, the hypocrisy of the Ghanaian. My new phrase, thanks to a very good friend of mine, like a big brother, who says Ghanaians are peace-loving hypocrites. We'll sit here, we'll hail Oprah Winfrey and adore her. But then we'll see somebody on TV and it's not married. It doesn't matter what she is doing. Will use her marital status against her, or she's divorced, or she hasn't got kids. It just doesn't make sense. So when I started, I realized that the reason women are not raising their voices, women are not making their voices heard, is because of these things that they are being held ransom to. The name calling. It's not everybody who has the strength. And sometimes their partners, sometimes their families will say, hey, Ama, Ama, don't go and let people bring their family issues into the public domain. So you sit back. And so it was holding a lot of women back. So that's why we changed to go into the nitty-gritty. We decided to go to the issues that are really eating up women and keeping them silent, to let women know that it's okay to own their mistakes, to own their failures. But then they should not let anyone hold them ransom to their past.
Yes.
Because everybody has a past.
Everybody has a past.
We were having male politicians who were married, had married 2 or 3, who were caught, committing adultery, who had been to prison before. All okay.
Not
accepted
judged because of the agenda, but a woman is a different story. Okay, we're gonna go for a break. I'm speaking with veteran broadcaster and journalist Gifty Anti. We have more coming up. You don't want to miss this on an Inspire special. See you there. Welcome back to Inspire. My guest today is a veteran broadcaster and journalist, Dr. Gifty Anti. Now we'll get into that the doctorate very soon. Marriage.
Yeah.
Marriage. I mean, it's so interesting. Before going to the break, mentioning the fact that women, not just in broadcasting, but any politics, whatever, if you're not married, is seen as, it can be used, is weaponized. It's essentially weaponized against you, against your character. If either you have kids, but yet if you're not married, it's so many things women, they use to weaponize on women, especially in their career. You got married later on in life. And I know for years, people would, so she's not married. And so what?
Yeah.
And so what? Before you got married, did you ever feel the pressure that was held at you? Because most people in Ghana saw that, as accomplished as you are, but because so many people knew who you are, they felt like they could also speak on your personal life.
Yes.
Before you got married, did you feel that pressure?
Oh, yes. I mean, people would call you names at church, at weddings, at,
Church.
Church, and people would just I remember one prophet came to me and said, God has told him that I should value everything I have and give him 25% of it. And within 7 days, I'll meet a man who will marry me. So I asked him, that why is God charging me before giving me a husband? He said, no, it's not his faith. And I said, no. You know what? God knows me. I wasn't as strong a Christian then. But I said, listen, God knows me. I don't think that I'm going to be judged based on, or on Judgment Day, I'm going to be assessed based on my marital status. If I don't marry, God knows. What is most important in what he gives me. It wasn't easy. I mean, it was tough. There were days I cried. My pillow saw many tears because of things that, at family gatherings, people would just throw things at you. I remember one time, my aunties and uncles and people around were all hailing me. And I think I had just won an award. And then one auntie just said, oh, stop making her feel that good until she's married and has a child. She's achieved nothing. And she said it publicly. And you have events where maybe you are the chairperson for somebody's naming or wedding, and then the MC says, oh, a year by this time, our Madam Chairperson, Gifty Anti, will also be attend. Directly and indirectly, it's just...
It's insult, and it's also demeaning.
So at a point, I became, as I told you, I'm a rebel from birth. So it became something, and unfortunately my husband suffered a bit of that because I just wanted to live for people to know that you don't need to be married to be an achiever.
Yes.
You just don't need to be. So at a point, I'm sure you heard it, that they said I had glorified, singleness, and I was encouraging young people to be single. And so when I got married, they said, you see, she's misled all the young women not to get married. Now she has gone to get married. It will be thrown at you from all angles. And people, as you said, they will write about it. They will ridicule you. With that, you have, because I was in mainstream media, you'll be interviewing people and somebody would just, a male, panelist will just say something just to, like you said, well, you are not married, so you don't know what you're talking about.
Now, that is something, when I moved to Ghana, it was something that for me, it was like, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because at least for where I'd grown up, marriage is marriage. And I think the institution of marriage is a beautiful one if you get into it. But I realized that in Ghana, and not just in Ghana, in many other African countries, marriage is deemed as an accomplishment.
Yes.
And one of the things I realized, and I had to, getting married is not an accomplishment. Having a successful marriage is an accomplishment. And I think some people just, get the two confused.
Yeah.
And I hate the fact that you would even, have to cry to that point. Someone looking at you, so many people look up to you.
Yeah.
When you finally did meet, your husband, did you feel like it was a pressure, or you allowed that pressure to go away and just fell in love?
I just, that's what I said, it affected him negatively because I fell in love. He proposed to me, and I finally agreed for him to marry me 2.5 years after he proposed to marry me. Wow. Because I didn't think that marriage was for me. Not that I'm not good enough, but I didn't think marriage was the most important thing then. When he met me, I was a woman on the move. And I am still a woman on the move. I had so many things to do. I did everything. When you read my book, one of the nuggets said, The Journey to Edumasa. I supported. I didn't even have in mind to marry him. But whatever I could do to support him and his village and his dreams, I did that. But then, it wasn't because I wanted to. Or I wanted him to marry me. And it was at a point we had to break up because he just couldn't understand why, I wouldn't marry him, or why I don't want to marry him, why I don't want to move in with him. So it became but then I just had reached a point where I was okay with myself. I was fulfilled. I was living, he was a partner. Fine. That's good. We're in a relationship. But then I didn't think that my crowning moment should be marriage. Yeah. I just needed to be sure that I was making the right decision because
not
I kept
because
telling
of what people had told you.
No, because what I kept telling myself is that after all these years, where I was coming from and where God had brought me, I would hate myself if I would let myself go into a marriage that would make me miserable, all because society thinks I'm old and I have to get married.
And the truth of the matter is, there are a lot of miserable married people.
I'm telling you.
In this world.
I'm telling you. And because of what I do, I'd heard so much. I've had so many programs, so many interviews. I've had people, confide in me. People who were from outside, I thought they had the perfect relationship. And then they come to me and they tell me, and I'm like, one of them, I remember one woman, a very respected man that I respect, I called him my mentor, and his wife came to me crying and telling me, I just couldn't believe it. I just so much wanted to be on the side of the man. No, he can't do this. This man cannot do that. But then she showed me evidence and everything. I'm like, what? People are so pretentious.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And again, in 50 Nuggets, my book I write about, pretense is so hard. If you notice, I don't know, but sometimes people pretend so much that when you get into their circles or when they realize you're not like that, they want to pressurize you to also pretend. They want to pressurize you to also pretend to live the kind of fake lives that you're living. I remember I went through a period where I didn't have a car. And I would go and speak to people and tell the people that, listen, it's not so much about the material things and that I came here with an Uber, and you have people, these things you shouldn't say in public the way you are. People will think, I'm like,
but what's wrong with taking a taxi or an Uber? There's nothing wrong with that.
I'm like, really? For 1 year, over 1 year I didn't have, but that was the period God gave me so many big platforms. It's always about what is here and what is here. Adding value to yourself. I went through a period where I had 3 cars and access to other cars. And I lost all of them. So if my identity and my value were in those things, I would have lost them.
That's true. And they're just possessions at the end of the day.
I would have lost them. People, you ask how, I managed to, there are people who started before me and there are people who I started with. And, I say this where people don't even know about them. They don't know where they are. Yeah, maybe they are somewhere making money. But I believe it's because it's been, 1, by the grace of God, 2, my passion, and 3, because I consistently add value to myself. It's been a journey. I started from, when I was driving, I said, maybe my next one should write about from floor manager to a best-selling author. You know, I started as a floor manager in TV, floor manager behind the scenes.
Oh, yeah.
And because of certain decisions I took on that day, I ended up sitting in front of the camera.
Which for most people, you don't understand. It's not easy.
No.
It's not, you know,
No.
A floor manager is a little bit different than sitting in the seat. I've been a floor manager before too, so I know.
And those that, you know what excited me most? What? Just my name will come on TV. The floor manager.
Because you read credits. Most people don't read credits. I still read every single thing.
So do I.
Oh, wow. DOP. Oh,
yes,
that's me.
So do I. So do I. So my production team, the same thing. They wonder why I'm so particular. Everybody's name has to come somehow. You know, the person who, everybody's name will have to say, but why? I said, no, it matters because it did matter to me.
Yeah.
You know, and that was all I told my dad he should, when I was going to work that day, he said, you should watch the TV. My name will come up. Gifty Anti, floor manager. And then my father was watching, and that's his daughter sitting in front. And that was the first day of the first edition of the breakfast show.
Wow.
I left home to go and be a floor manager. I ended up being a presenter. I ended up having a journey starting that day. So I tell young people that, listen, never give up on yourself. Never doubt the grace of God and never lose your faith. Don't kill yourself because opportunities and times and seasons change like that. All you need is to prepare yourself.
To make it
Success comes when, you know, preparation meets opportunity.
You know, it's interesting.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting, you know, you call them cliches. And I always tell people, look, every cliche, there's a truth to it.
There's a truth to it.
You may hear it 1,000 times. You may hear it 10,000 times. But there's a reason we keep hearing these things 10,000 times from successful people.
Yes.
So it's not, you're not making it up. You know, your journey may be different, but you're definitely not making up. There is a truth in it. I want to talk about your journey to motherhood. And I love your journey to motherhood because it was on your terms. Yeah. You know, and in life, there's this thing of here, like, it's not a race. You know, most people, I have friends my age who have teenage kids. And it's like, oh my God, I can't even imagine.
I have friends my age who have grandchildren.
Whoa.
No, whose grandchildren are older than my child.
So I want to, because I remember when I read that, oh my God, Gifty Anti's pregnant. It was like such a big news. Yeah. For everywhere, and most people celebrated it. Yes. Because purely we in this part of the world, and most we have an age that you think somebody cannot be a mother past a certain age. Right. You've been very vocal about your journey. Yeah. When you found out you were pregnant, you know, I know you went through a journey, but when you found out you were pregnant, how did that initially make you feel? Because you're already a mother to so many people. That one we haven't even talked about. You've been mothering young girls, young boys for so long. But when you found out you were pregnant, how did that make you feel?
I was confused. My first reaction was confused because I had been told it wasn't going to happen. About 2 or 3 doctors, in fact, no, 3 or 4 doctors had from London to here that it can happen. So when I was first of all confused, I asked Dr. Padiade, I said, and the way I was behaving, so they actually gave me injection, and I slept for 2 days. It was, they tested, I found out on the 24th of December, 2016, 24th of December. So I finally came to myself on the 26th, and I cried, and I cried, and I cried. And I just cried to God, Lord, is this really you? So that was when I started calling my daughter Nyam, the glory of God. And that's her name. That's the name everybody calls her now. It was just by the grace of God. That's why I talk about my testimony, my miracle. Because it gave so many people hope. And it gave so many people, it gave them faith. You know, it wasn't consciously done, but I started this hashtag of super crazy faith in God. And it's caught on and now become like a, a movement. Super crazy faith in God, because it just didn't make sense. I just was this woman who believed that whatever it is, God has given me something, let me work with it. Growing up, I'm the last of 8 children. So I always wanted to have a child. I wanted to call somebody, my own. But and just imagine being told that it won't happen, because I had tried, but then God's time. God's time is always the best, and especially when He has a purpose for your life. He will make sure He takes you through the mill, and He will make sure He gets you at the right place before He lets it happen, because He likes to take the glory for Himself.
That's true.
Because my having a child, it doesn't make sense. The whole process. I'm still in touch with I'm very good friends with my doctor. And he always says, well, anytime that child does something, I'll send you a message. Come and see your child is causing trouble. Or she's doing this, she's doing that. I said, Gifty, because I just went for a normal surgery. There's a growth on my stomach. So he was worried that he's still my gynecologist, and he said, Gifty, the way this thing is developing, because it started like a pimple, let me take it out before it becomes a tumor or something. And when I was coming out of the anesthesia, I heard him say, but Gifty cry, her womb is fine, she can carry a baby.
But you had been told previously that you're not going to be able to bear children.
So I was like, so when I get a dog, I heard you say, yeah, Gifty, I think you should try that, especially the kind of surgery you made. I thought it was just touch and go, but it took about 4 hours.
How old were you at that time when your doctor told you that?
46. 46 years. I said, are you sure? I said, Gifty, let's heal, let's try. So when it finally happened, and I didn't have a very difficult pregnancy, which was amazing. My cousin in US wanted me to come because he said at that age, I was 46, and you need to be bedridden anytime she called. And he called and said, I'm going to work. He said,
because you were working.
I was working.
Yes.
He said, are you crazy? Why are you working? Why did that? I said, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. But then He does all things beautiful. He makes all things beautiful in His own time.
The inspiration you've been for so many other women around the world. Ghanaian women, African women, with your testimony, with your story, has been immense. How does it make you feel that, knowing that you sharing your story, and you've been pretty open about your journey, what it does for other women, especially in a society too, when women are also put down for not having kids. And when people do that, you don't know the person's journey. But you've been such an inspiration. When so many people who have heard your story, how does it make you feel knowing that you've been essentially made it easier for other women?
It's been very humbling. And I tell people that it's given me a new ministry where women feel comfortable talking to me about their challenges when it comes to fertility, because they know I will understand. And so they will come and pour their heart out to me. And they know that whatever I'm telling them is coming from a good place. It's coming from a place of experience. Being there, I would understand their tears. Quite recently, just barely a week ago, I had a call from somebody in Takrady, 12 years without a child. I said, listen, you know what I want you to do this evening? That's what I do, Amma. I said, this evening, take a chair, put it down, and then tell your father, God, because He says He's our Father. Tell Him, Daddy, please sit and let's have a conversation. Talk to God. Pour your heart out to God. And after that, do all the necessary things. So if you have to do health checks, your medicals and everything, get your stats, medical, checkup totally done. And then trust God. And you see, I'm one of those who believe that God has a reason for doing everything. There are people who have gone to have children and they didn't make it back. Always seek what God's purpose for your life is about. Always seek that. Because there are people who have gone to have children and didn't come back. They were more righteous than me. They did great things, than I am. There are women out there who are great achievers, who are serving God, who still don't have a child. It is all in God's hands. He knows why. He understands why. For me, the most important thing to do is to do God's will and leave the rest to him. Do your best in everything and leave the rest to him to sort you out. Yes. You know, when you read my book, 50 Nuggets, which I'll give you a copy, My Journey to Motherhood, I talk about 3 dreams I had before I had a child. I knew my job had been cut out for me. And those dreams, simple. I don't have to give up on what I do for children. I don't have to give up on the many children who called me mommy before then, yes, just because I have my own. 2, I don't have to neglect the women who are suffering, who are going through what I went through by not being married, by not having children, by having, abusive relationships and all that. I need to. Then 3, making my child understand that there are other people in my life as well who matter, and see everybody as a sister or a brother. Nice. It's so important. But sometimes God, helps us and brings us to a place and we forget.
So what was the inspiration for A Bit of Me?
Okay, so last year I fell and broke my ankle. And I felt so depressed because I've always been an active person. I had plans, I had things to do. And suddenly I was down, I couldn't move. I couldn't even play with my child because I was afraid she would, further injure my leg. So it was very depressive. I even considered, divorce. And this is the first time I'm talking about it publicly because I felt that terrible. And then someone sent me a video that I had done myself because I do these short videos I call A Bit of Me, which is part of the Standpoint, and sent it to me. And the person was just sending it viral. And it came to me. You know how we do this broadcast? I listened to it and it talked about how life happens and everything that happens, it's for a purpose, it's for a reason. And it just helped me snap out of it. Then I thought about it. Listen, let me put all these thoughts in a book form, because when you get into those depressive mood, going to watch a video is the last thing on your mind. But then when you have a book, you can grab it, just glancing through it. It will remind you of something. It will help pep you up or pick you up and, snap you out of it. So that's what led to the writing of this book. And I wrote it within 3 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. I was in the cast for 6 weeks. The first 3 weeks was when I became very depressive. And then the last 3 weeks, I used it to write,
So there was light. Light even in the time of darkness. How did it make you feel when within a week it went to #1 on Amazon?
How it got on Amazon is also another miracle, another story, So it was really exciting for me. I mean, a new author, first time author, and then becomes a bestseller on Amazon. Very, very, and of course I made noise about it, I just took it. So it was very exciting for me. Very, very, very exciting for me. Yes.
And now, after that, we got 2 more books.
Yes.
The Best of You.
I call it the Pearls of Wisdom. The short codes, self-affirmation, where you take it and you affirm yourself, that I know who I am. I know whose I am. I know where I'm going. I may not know the destination. I don't know how I get there, but I know who will guide my steps. I'm going to do my best. Every time you said words become us. So that's what it's about. I have the 60 of them there. 60, yes.
Inspiration
Pearls
of
wisdom, yes.
And the latest book.
This is the latest book,
And 50 Nuggets at 50.
50, yeah.
First of all, how did it feel turning 50? Do you feel much different?
Oh, I looked forward to 50. Nice. I looked forward to, I don't know why. I look forward to, but 50 has happened and I don't, Do
you feel any different?
No. Yes, because I don't feel any different. And I'm so disappointed. I was expecting to feel, like super special. Now. I'm 50 now, yes. But nothing, same. Nothing much has changed,
And 50 Nuggets at 50.
Yeah.
What inspired this book for you?
50 Nuggets at 50 is 50 of my experiences in life. 50 of my many experiences and real life stories. A bit of me was inspiration. but this is my true life experiences, my true life stories, and the lessons I learned from it. So this one, when you read it, I just hope you find your nuggets. And I wrote it because I felt 50 years, and so what? At 50, you have 42 awards, and so what? When somebody years, when you're gone and they're talking about you, how can people find your true stories? So I decided to put down my stories, 50
your
of them,
voice, using
my
your
voice,
own voice,
my own voice, telling my own story. So that when anybody wants to know about Gifty Anti, the true Gifty Anti, the down, the lows and everything, I talk about how I failed, how the mistakes I made, the things, the regrets I have, everything is in there. It's so real that my husband is even afraid to read it. He's so afraid to read it. So that's what I just decided, let me put it down, because people are quick to make assumptions.
Oh, yes.
They see you, oh, I'm a person. Hey, I'm a key of a person.
Yes.
She came from London and she came to Ghana. She's made it. She's a TV star. She's an actress, won many awards, great movies and all. But they don't know the true journey.
No. They don't. And it's important to use your voice, your own voice, because you said it. Like, otherwise, people would make the assumptions and tell it for you.
Yeah, and when they do that, what broke my heart one day was when I found out there was a girl who desperately wanted to be like me, and in the process, she slept with so many people she shouldn't have slept with, and ended up having an infection because those people told her that they made me. Oh yes. And this is a girl that, anybody who's worked with me at GBC, they know it. I play with everybody. I eat with everybody. So I thought she could have asked me. Wow. She didn't.
And so, even the notion of, and it's something that on this show has even come up as a topic, the fact that as a woman, if you make it, the assumption is also that you slept your way to the top. You slept your way, especially in media and broadcasting.
And it's so terrible that people are accepting it.
Yeah.
Some young women think that is the only way to make it. Listen, one of the things I've never been is to be a judge on a program. I don't like to judge people. I feel that there must be a reason why somebody made a mistake, somebody fell, I'm not good at those things. I'm always making excuses or trying to understand what is. So I don't do that. So I don't judge people. Everybody has their journey. Sometimes people don't know better, so they make certain mistakes. I have made some mistakes that I look back and I wish I knew better. I've been in relationships and I sit back and, Lord, I wish I knew better. I wouldn't have gone there. So I don't judge anybody. But then if people look at you and make those assumptions, and because of that, they fall into certain pits that you fell into, then you have failed. If you are in my life, if there's a young person in my life, and maybe this can be my concluding words, I think that our greatest failures will be that we watch people fall into the same pits that we fell into on our journey. We watch people make the same mistakes that we made, thinking that I made it and so they can make it. No. The things that I've been through to get here, some people didn't make it.
Yes.
I've made it thus far for a reason. God spared me for a reason. So I tell women out there, God has spared you for a reason. Don't let us be selfish. Yes, they will call us names, but let us own our true stories, our failures, our successes, our mistakes, so that we can light the path for those who come after us. Our success will be to see those coming after us.
Opening. And also, once you're one of the first, you're always opening the doors.
We must.
And thank you for opening the doors for so many people. So many people. So thank you so much. Thank you. All right. That has been an Inspire special with veteran and ace broadcaster, journalist, author, best-selling author, I must add, Gifty Anti. It's been an amazing show. I hope you have also taken away your own golden nuggets. 50 golden nuggets from her. Until next time, my name is Emma K. Abeprese. I will catch you soon.
Hey family, Akese Brimpong here. Listen, media is a great pillar of society. Media practitioners say that media is the fourth estate of the realm. What the media projects, society would reflect. And so you look at the prevailing culture and what's on our media and you worry about the next generation. And that's why Dominion TV is on this mission to reclaim the culture and to produce content that will help win the next generation for Christ. And so we come to you to help us financially to create content that will help win the next generation for God. The numbers to reach us are on the screen. The website is on the screen. We are asking that you help Dominion TV with your pens to help us produce content that will turn the hearts of the next generation to the Father. God bless you as you do this.